Right now, as you sit here watching this, something is happening inside your eyes, silently, continuously, and you cannot feel it. The American Academy of Ophthalmology has confirmed this. Every single year after the age of 60, adults lose approximately 1% of their macular cells. 1%. That sounds small. Compound that over a decade. That is 10% of the vision you are counting on to recognize the faces of the people you love. And here is what nobody is telling you: the damage does not happen during the day, it happens at night, while you sleep. While you believe your body is resting and repairing, your retinal tissue is fighting for oxygen and nutrients, and most of the time, it is losing that fight. Blurry mornings that take an hour to fully clear, headlights that scatter and sting at night, text that blurs even with your glasses on. That is not simply aging, that is cellular damage in progress. And the window to address it is closing every single night. Here is the part that should have made front page news. A 2023 analysis in the American Journal of Ophthalmology confirmed something that changes the entire conversation about age-related vision loss. The root drivers of retinal deterioration after 60: oxidative stress, chronic microinflammation, and a process called glycation, are most active at night, when your eyes should be doing their deepest repair work. And they can be specifically targeted. Not with surgery, not with a new prescription, with something you may already have sitting in your kitchen. There are 7 fruits, supported by clinical research, that contain compounds your retinal cells are genuinely starving for during sleep. And the number one fruit on this list, the one most people already own and almost no one uses correctly, targets the single most destructive process happening inside your lens right now. I am saving it for last, because by the time we get there, you will understand exactly why it works at the level it does. Before we go any further, I want to ask you one question. Has a doctor ever sat down and explained to you exactly what is happening inside your eyes as you age and what you could naturally do about it? Type yes or no in the comments right now. I ask because the answer most people give reveals everything wrong with how vision care currently works. My name is Dr. James Harlow. I have spent over 2 decades working with older adults who refuse to accept vision loss as something inevitable. Everything I share today is based on published research and clinical observation. It is educational. It is meant to complement your doctor's care, not replace it. If you have concerns about your eye health, please see a qualified professional. Your vision is not something to gamble with. Now, here is what I need you to understand about the system you are operating inside. Your ophthalmologist is not your enemy. Your optometrist is not your enemy. They are working inside a structure that gives them an average of 7 minutes per patient appointment, 7 minutes to measure, diagnose, and generate a billing code. And the insurance system does not have a reimbursable code for nutritional support of macular function. There is no billable procedure for teaching you how to eat to protect your retina. So you walk out with a stronger prescription. Maybe eye drops, maybe a referral for monitoring, but nothing about what your retinal cells actually need at the cellular level, nothing about why the damage is happening, and nothing about what you could be doing every evening to change the trajectory. That is not a conspiracy. That is economics. And the result is that millions of older adults are losing visual independence, 1% at a time, and nobody has ever given them the full picture. Here is what I want you to hear. It is not your fault. You went to your appointments. You wore your glasses. You took what was prescribed. You did everything you were told. But you were never given what you needed to actually protect what matters. Today, I am giving you that information. Now, let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 71 years old, retired elementary school teacher, 32 years in the classroom. She came to see me because she had stopped driving at night, not because anyone told her to stop, because she was afraid. Headlights looked like explosions of light. Street signs were unreadable until she was nearly past them. Her ophthalmologist had told her, early stage macular degeneration, come back in 6 months. That was the full conversation. No further discussion, no explanation of what macular degeneration actually involves at the cellular level. No mention of what accelerates it or what might slow it. Picture Margaret sitting across from me, hands folded in her lap, very still. She said, "Dr. Harlow, I taught children to read for 32 years. If I lose my ability to see clearly, I don't know who I am anymore." That sentence stayed with me for a long time. We are going to follow Margaret throughout this video, because what happened over the next 12 weeks is exactly what I want you to understand is possible and what I want you to believe is available to you. But first, one more thing about number 1 on this list. I have saved the most powerful fruit for last, and when you understand what process it targets inside your lens tissue and why almost everyone who has it in their kitchen never uses it in the way that actually works, you will understand why I built this entire video around that reveal. Stay with me. Everything we cover from here builds toward that final piece. Now, let's count down from number 7. Here is what I want you to understand before we talk about Kiwi. And I know that sounds like a strange sentence, but stay with me for 60 seconds. Because what happens inside your retina during sleep is not what most people imagine. Think of your retinal cells like solar panels. All day long, they absorb light, convert it into electrical signals, send those signals to your brain. But solar panels degrade over time. Exposure, heat, oxidative stress, they break down the surface layer. The photoreceptor cells responsible for fine detail and color clarity, they are among the most metabolically demanding cells in the human body. They require enormous antioxidant support overnight. When they do not get it, they break down, slowly, silently, and the signs show up in the mirror of your morning vision. Kiwi, 2 golden kiwis, unremarkable fruit, but for aging eyes, clinically meaningful. Here is why. Kiwi is one of the highest dietary sources of 2 specific compounds, lutein and zeaxanthin. Think of these as internal optical filters, sitting inside the layers of your retina, absorbing harmful blue light wavelengths, and providing targeted antioxidant protection precisely during your overnight repair window. They do not merely slow damage. The research suggests they support active regeneration of the tissue that has already been stressed. A 2021 study in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging followed adults aged 60 to 75. Those who consumed 2 golden kiwis daily for 8 weeks showed measurable improvements in visual contrast sensitivity. Contrast sensitivity, that is exactly what determines how clearly you see in low light, how you read faces in shadow, how you navigate a parking lot at night. 2 kiwis, 8 weeks, measurable results. Now I need to be clear about something before you start. If you are taking blood pressure medication, particularly calcium channel blockers, kiwi in therapeutic amounts can interact. Start with 1 kiwi and discuss with your doctor. If you are on any anticoagulant or blood thinner, have that conversation first. And if you have any latex sensitivity, kiwi can cross-react. Start with a small amount and observe your response. How do you use it? 2 golden kiwis, not the green variety, eaten about an hour before bed. Golden kiwis carry higher lutein concentration and cause less acidity late at night. Take them out of the refrigerator 30 minutes before eating. Cold suppresses enzyme activity. And here is the detail most people miss completely. Do not peel all the way to the edge. That thin layer of flesh directly beneath the skin contains concentrated caffeic acid, a potent antioxidant. Scoop with a spoon. Leave that inner edge intact. But if you think kiwi is impressive, number 6 works through an entirely different mechanism, one that most people never connect to their eyes at all. Let me go back to Margaret for a moment. At our second appointment, I went through her full medication history, statin for 11 years, a low-dose blood pressure medication, and a proton pump inhibitor, an antacid that she had been taking every morning for years, casually, the way people take antacids. Nobody had flagged it. Here is what jumped out at me immediately. Long-term proton pump inhibitor use is documented in the medical literature to significantly reduce absorption of magnesium and vitamin B12. Both play important roles in maintaining optic nerve health and vascular supply to the retina. Margaret had been quietly starving her visual system of critical nutrients, not because she ate poorly, but because a medication she took without thinking was blocking what she needed. Year after year, nobody had ever connected those dots for her. This is the pattern I encounter repeatedly in patients with accelerating vision loss. It is not always about what they eat. Sometimes it is about what their medications are doing to what they absorb. We will come back to what happened once we address this. But first, number 6, watermelon. 1 to 2 cups, about 30 minutes before bed. And here is what most people completely miss. Watermelon is over 90% water. That hydration matters directly because the vitreous humor inside your eye, the gel that maintains its shape and clarity, is primarily water. When you are chronically mildly dehydrated, that gel changes consistency. Intraocular pressure fluctuates, morning blur worsens, but the research points to something deeper than hydration. Watermelon is one of the richest dietary sources of lycopene, and a 2019 observational study in investigative ophthalmology and visual science found that higher blood lycopene levels were associated with significantly reduced oxidative damage in retinal cells and lower rates of progression in early macular changes. Lower rates of progression, not complete reversal, but measurably slower deterioration. For someone managing an early stage diagnosis, that difference matters enormously over years. One specific caution: do not add salt to your watermelon. Added sodium raises intraocular pressure. The Glaucoma Research Foundation identifies elevated intraocular pressure as one of the most significant and preventable contributors to irreversible vision loss in older adults. Keep it plain, no seasoning, now. This next part is where things start getting serious, because number 5 targets a specific mechanism that causes more night driving difficulty, more light sensitivity, more halo effects around headlights than almost any other single factor. And most patients have never heard of it. Pay close attention here. Your eyes contain a visual pigment called rhodopsin. Think of it like the light-sensitive film inside an old camera. It is what allows your eyes to shift from bright environments to dark ones, to see clearly in dim restaurants, to adjust when you walk from a sunny room into a darker hallway. After 60, rhodopsin regeneration slows down. That is not a metaphor. That is documented biochemistry. And the result is exactly what you may already be living: slow, dark adaptation, halos around lights at night, difficulty reading in dimly lit rooms. Black currant extract specifically targets this. A randomized placebo-controlled trial published in the Journal of Ocular Pharmacology and Therapeutics followed adults with early glaucoma over 24 months. Those receiving 50 milligrams of black currant anthocyanins daily showed significantly improved blood flow to the optic nerve and meaningfully slowed visual field deterioration compared to placebo. 50 milligrams daily over 2 years. That is a substantial finding. Now here is the safety information. If you are taking blood pressure medication, black currant anthocyanins have a real vasodilatory effect that can compound with medication. Talk to your doctor before starting. If you are on blood thinners, same conversation required. Do not exceed 100 milligrams daily. And if you feel lightheaded or notice unusual bruising after starting, stop and contact your physician immediately. Fresh black currants are rare in most grocery stores. Look for a standardized extract, 50 milligrams, taken in the evening with a small amount of healthy fat and a vitamin C source. A few walnuts and a slice of orange alongside the capsule will meaningfully improve absorption. Now, if this information is reaching you and you know someone who avoids driving at night because of this exact problem, hit like right now. The algorithm will show this to someone who needs it. It costs you nothing. And for someone struggling with exactly this, it could change everything. Back to Margaret. Week 3. She sent me a message late in the evening. She was in the passenger seat of her daughter's car, driving home from dinner. Night. She wrote, "I looked out the window and the streetlights had edges again. I had forgotten they were supposed to have edges." For years, she had seen only glowing smears where light sources should be. Sharp edges had disappeared so gradually she had accepted the smears as normal. She sat in that car and realized what she had lost and what might be coming back. She cried, not from sadness, from something more complicated than that. She was not cured. She was not even close to resolution, but she had the first concrete proof that the trajectory was changing. And that proof is what kept her committed to what came next. Number 4 is blueberries. And here is the part that will change how you shop. The key compound in blueberries for retinal health is Terraelbenny, chemically related to resveratrol, but significantly more bioavailable in the body. Research suggests it can cross the blood-retinal barrier and act directly at the level of DNA damage in photoreceptor cells. Most dietary antioxidants never reach retinal tissue at meaningful concentrations. This one does. A 2022 study in nutritional neuroscience followed older adults consuming wild blueberries daily for 12 weeks. They showed notable improvements in visual acuity scores and significantly reduced eye strain when viewing screens in low-light conditions. Wild blueberries, not the large cultivated ones filling the pint containers at most grocery stores. Wild blueberries, the small dark ones typically found in the frozen section, carry nearly double the active compound concentration. And frozen is just as effective as fresh, actually more consistent in quality. 1/3 of a cup, 45 minutes before bed. And here is the most common mistake I see. Patients eat blueberries with yogurt or cereal or a glass of milk. The proteins in dairy physically bind to anthocyanins in the gut and block absorption. Significantly, eat your blueberries alone. And try this. Lightly freeze them and then thaw them before eating. That process breaks down cell walls and measurably increases bioavailability. Same fruit, dramatically different delivery to your retinal tissue. Wild variety, no dairy. Freeze and thaw. Write those 3 things down. But now I need to tell you about something that surprises almost everyone, because number 3 is going to challenge a belief many people carry about which foods support eye health. Here is what I need you to understand about dragon fruit before we go further, because the mechanism here is one that most nutrition education completely ignores. There is a condition called retinal hypoxia. That is when your retinal tissue does not receive adequate oxygen during sleep. You can sleep a full 8 hours and wake up with heavy, fatigued eyes, not because you slept poorly, but because your retina was oxygen deprived overnight. That deprivation compounds across years, and it contributes directly to the heavy morning eyes, the slow morning clarity, the afternoon visual fatigue that many older adults chalk up to simply getting older. Red dragon fruit, the deep red flesh variety specifically, is rich in beta-cyanins, a class of antioxidants that support nitric oxide production in blood vessel walls. Nitric oxide is the molecule that relaxes and widens capillaries, including the microscopic ones supplying your retina. Wider capillaries, more oxygen, more nutrient delivery during deep sleep, exactly when the repair window is open. A 2022 study in Frontiers in Aging reported that participants consuming red dragon fruit extract for 6 weeks showed measurable improvements in ocular circulation and contrast sensitivity. In practical terms, they saw more clearly in low light. They reported meaningfully reduced blurry vision. Now I need to be direct about safety here. If you are taking diabetes medication, metformin, insulin, or sulfonylureas, dragon fruit can lower blood sugar further. The combination can push glucose too low. Start with a quarter portion. Monitor your numbers. Do not exceed half a fruit daily without your doctor's input. If you feel dizzy, shaky, or sweaty after eating it, check your glucose immediately and contact your doctor. Half a deep red flesh dragon fruit, 1 hour before bed, and do not swallow the black seeds whole. Chew them. Those seeds contain omega-3 fatty acids and magnesium, both documented in their roles supporting retinal nerve health. Swallowed whole, you lose nearly all of that benefit. Now I need to come back to Margaret, because something happened at week 6 that changed the entire tone of her story. She returned to her ophthalmologist for a routine check. He looked at her imaging. He paused. He looked again. He said, "Your macular pigment optical density has improved. I don't typically see that at your stage." He did not know about her protocol. He rescheduled her for a follow-up in 6 weeks instead of 6 months, because something had shifted enough to warrant closer watching. She called me that same afternoon. Her voice was completely different from our first meeting. She said, "He was confused. I was not. We are almost at Margaret's final chapter. But first, number 2. This next fruit has 2,000 years of medicinal history specifically tied to eye health, and the clinical evidence is finally catching up to that history. Goji berries target the most serious concern on this entire list: macular thinning. Your macula is the central zone of your retina. It is responsible for the sharp detail vision you use to read, to recognize faces, to distinguish color with clarity. As we age, oxidative stress and reduced circulation gradually thin this tissue. That is the foundational biological process driving age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of irreversible central vision loss in adults over 60 worldwide. Goji berries are among the highest natural dietary sources of zeaxanthin on the planet. While lutein provides broader protection across the outer retina, zeaxanthin concentrates specifically in the macula itself. That targeted protection in the exact tissue most at risk matters enormously. A 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients followed adults aged 60 to 80 consuming dried goji berries 5 days per week for 90 days. The results showed a significant increase in macular pigment optical density, a direct measurable indicator of macular protection, and no participant showed further progression of macular degeneration during the trial period. 90 days, no further progression. Those 4 words deserve to sit with you for a moment. Now here is the safety information I must give you before anything else about goji berries. And I need you to take this seriously. Goji berries and warfarin interact. This is documented in the clinical literature. This is not theoretical. If you are taking warfarin or any anticoagulant, goji berries can increase the medication's blood thinning effect and meaningfully raise your bleeding risk. This conversation with your doctor is not optional. It is required before you add goji berries to your routine. If you are taking blood pressure medication, goji berries can have an additive lowering effect. Start with half a tablespoon and monitor. Do not exceed 2 tablespoons of dried berries daily. And if you notice unusual bruising, excessive bleeding from small cuts, or feel unusually lightheaded, stop immediately and contact your physician. How to use them: soak 2 tablespoons of dried goji berries in warm water for 10 minutes. Eat them about 30 minutes before bed. Soaking significantly improves digestibility for older digestive systems, and here is an absorption pairing that has genuine science behind it. A small square of dark chocolate, at least 85% cacao. The flavonoids in high-quality dark chocolate have been shown to enhance zeaxanthin absorption. Together, they create a synergy your macula can actually access. Before I get to number 1, I need to talk to you directly about what the first few weeks of this protocol actually feel like. Because here is the truth. Week 1 is inconvenient. Your kitchen routine changes. You are thinking about timing. You might eat the blueberries with yogurt by accident and not realize it undermined the benefit. You might forget to take the dragon fruit out of the refrigerator early enough. You might not feel any different. That is week 1. It is not failure. It is recalibration. Week 2. Something shifts. The routine starts to become habit. You stop having to think about the timing, and a small number of patients begin noticing something subtle. Morning clarity arriving slightly faster. Nothing dramatic. A hint of something different. Week 3. This is the week I hear from patients, and I recognize the tone immediately before I even hear the words. Not excitement, certainty. Something is different. Eye strain when reading, slightly reduced. Adjusting from bright to dim rooms, a little smoother. The changes are modest at week 3, but they are earned. They are not imagined. Week 4 and beyond. This is when you bring your observations to your doctor. Not to declare a cure, but because you are paying attention with real data. And a patient who arrives with 3 weeks of careful self-observation changes every clinical conversation they have. Your doctor may not know what caused the change, but they will notice it. Most people quit after 3 days. They experience the inconvenience of week 1 and interpret it as evidence that nothing is working. Do not let that be you. The discomfort of week 1 confirms you are doing something genuinely different from what you were doing before. Different is exactly what was needed. Now, back to Margaret. Week 12. She drove herself to our appointment, night, for the first time in 2 years. She walked in carrying a small blue notebook. She had tracked every morning for 12 weeks. What she saw when she first opened her eyes, how long it took to fully clear, what the streetlights looked like on her evening walks. Her macular pigment optical density had improved meaningfully over 12 weeks. Her dark adaptation time, formally tested by her ophthalmologist, had improved by a margin that surprised him. She had not reversed macular degeneration. That is not what I am claiming for her or for you, but she had demonstrably slowed its progression. And she had reclaimed something she thought was gone permanently. She said something I want to leave with you before we get to number 1. For 2 years, I was waiting for it to get worse. Now I am watching it stay the same. That is the most powerful thing that has ever happened to me medically. Now, finally. Number 1. I have been building to this from the very beginning. And what makes papaya the most powerful fruit on this list is not just what it contains. It is the specific enemy it targets, a process most people have never heard of, happening silently inside their eyes right now: glycation. Here's what you need to understand about this. When blood glucose levels are consistently elevated, even mildly elevated, even in people who are not diabetic, glucose molecules bind to proteins inside your eye tissue. They form what are called advanced glycation end products. And inside your eye, these end products progressively cloud your lens from the inside out. They stiffen the proteins responsible for maintaining optical clarity. They degrade the retinal tissue beneath. This is one of the most underappreciated and most consistent contributors to age-related vision deterioration after 60. And it is operating continuously, every day, in almost everyone over 60. This is the number one thing most eye appointments never address, because there is no procedure for it, no pill with a patent, no billable code. Papaya contains an enzyme called papain, a naturally occurring compound with documented anti-inflammatory and protein-modifying properties. Research suggests papain may interfere with the cross-linking of proteins caused by glycation, essentially disrupting the cloudiness process before it fully sets into the tissue. On top of this, papaya delivers vitamins A, C, and E alongside folate, nutrients that research consistently links to tear film stability, retinal protection, and reduced oxidative stress inside the eye. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Aging and Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed papaya in the evening showed lower glycation markers at follow-up testing, alongside improved tear production and measurable improvements in contrast vision within 6 weeks. 6 weeks, with a fruit that costs less than $2. Now, I must be clear about safety. If you are taking blood thinners, including warfarin or daily aspirin therapy, papain can increase bleeding tendency. Start with half a cup and monitor carefully. If you have any latex allergy, papaya can cross-react. Start with a small amount. If you are diabetic and on insulin, papaya's natural sugars require blood sugar monitoring. Do not exceed 1 cup daily without your doctor's input. And if you have any surgery scheduled, stop papaya 2 weeks prior due to its documented effect on blood clotting. 1 cup of ripe papaya cubes, about an hour before bed. Remove from the refrigerator 30 to 60 minutes before eating. Cold temperature suppresses enzyme activity, and you want papaya at full functional strength when it reaches your system. Do not pair with dairy, and squeeze fresh lime juice over the top before eating. The vitamin C in lime meaningfully boosts your body's absorption of vitamin A. Your retinal tissue gets more of what it needs, and the taste is significantly better. Now, 5 rules that determine whether any of this actually works. Rule 1. Do not combine these fruits with high-calcium foods within 90 minutes. Dairy consumed alongside antioxidant-rich fruits can reduce absorption of lutein and zeaxanthin by up to 30%. Published research confirms this. Treat your evening fruit as a standalone. 90 minutes of separation from dairy is the minimum. Rule 2. Always include a small amount of healthy fat. Lutein, zeaxanthin, lycopene, and beta-cyanins are fat-soluble. Your body cannot fully absorb them without fat present. A few walnuts, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, a few slices of avocado. Research shows fat pairing boosts absorption of key compounds by more than 50%. Same fruit, dramatically improved delivery to your eyes. Rule 3. Rinse gently. Aggressive scrubbing under hard running water removes surface antioxidants from blueberries and black currants specifically. Rinse gently. Pat dry. Wash right before eating. Rule 4. Room temperature for papaya. Non-negotiable. Cold suppresses the enzyme activity that is the entire point of eating papaya for eye health. 30 to 60 minutes out of the refrigerator before eating. Rule 5. The timing window matters more than most people realize. 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Too early and the nutrients are metabolized before your retina enters its primary overnight repair window. Too late and active digestion disrupts the deep sleep stages when repair actually occurs. 60 to 90 minutes. Consistent. Every evening. Now. 3 things I need you to stop doing because these will undermine everything on this list. And most people do them without knowing it. First, stop eating your largest meal within 2 hours of bed. Late heavy digestion elevates inflammatory markers overnight and raises blood glucose during sleep. That is the precise condition that accelerates glycation inside your lens tissue. Shift your main meal earlier. Even 1 hour makes a meaningful difference at the biochemical level. Second, stop sleeping in a room that is too warm. Research published in Sleep Medicine Reviews demonstrated that sleep quality in adults over 60 is significantly impaired by ambient temperatures above 22 degrees Celsius, roughly 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Poor deep sleep directly impairs overnight retinal repair. The temperature of your sleeping environment is not a comfort preference. It is a biology question. Third, stop skipping the fat pairing. I know I said it in the rules, but I see this mistake so consistently that it requires its own section. Patients tell me they eat their blueberries with water and nothing else. They eat their kiwi on the way out the door. Without fat present, the fat-soluble eye nutrients pass through largely unabsorbed. The food was eaten. The benefit was not received. These 3 changes cost nothing, and they will significantly amplify everything else in this protocol. Let me bring this all together now. Your eyes have been working for you every single day of your life. Every face, every sunrise, every book, every grandchild. They have carried you faithfully through all of it. Today you learned that the deterioration most people accept as inevitable has specific biochemical drivers: oxidative stress, rhodopsin degradation, chronic microinflammation, and glycation. And you now understand that each of these drivers can be specifically targeted with real foods, used correctly, at the right time. You have a protocol. You have the safety information. You have what most people never receive in a 7-minute appointment. Now, I want you to check the description below. All the research references mentioned today are listed there. And when you go to your next eye appointment, bring them. Ask your doctor what they think. A doctor who is paying attention will welcome that conversation. Type, "I finished" in the comments if you made it here. And then I want you to think of one person, not a list, one person, a parent, a sibling, a friend who has mentioned struggling to drive at night or having blurry mornings. Send them this video today, not tomorrow, today, because what they need to protect their vision is here, and it is not something a 7-minute appointment will ever cover. Subscribe and turn on notifications because next week, I am covering something that may be the most important video I have made. There is a common morning habit, something over 90% of adults over 60 do before they even check their phone. That recent research suggests may be accelerating the exact glycation process we discussed today. The study followed over 3,000 people for 8 years, and the finding was so unexpected that the research team ran the data 3 times before publishing. That is next week. This is Dr. James Harlow. Take care of those eyes. They are irreplaceable.